I was at work, and when I came home, Kristen said that Cooper wasn't feeling well, so I just thought it was a flu had started until the second day, and then he had blood in his stool.
And within a couple hours, I was calling an ambulance. He had started having a seizure in my arms, and he was being resuscitated while they called for an airlift to a bigger city. I could see the chopper in the sky fading out towards Ottawa, and I didn't know if he had made it. It turned my life upside down in every aspect forever.
We have a real idealized version of American agriculture. Farmers with, 2 pigs and some horses, and they grow apple trees and some corn. And that's not how farming mostly is in America. Because of how global our food system is, even if you're not in the United States, you could still potentially eat contaminated food elsewhere.
We were at the children's hospital when we found out it was E. coli, but we didn't know where it had come from. I don't even think I'd heard of it before.
Cooper kind of woke up a bit and said, "Up, Mama." And I told him that he was okay, that they were going to help him. Being 38 weeks pregnant, I was getting really burnt out. And then Brad woke me up and said that I'd better come to the room. They were trying to bring him back. He'd gone into cardiac arrest. We sat outside his room while they worked on him.
But he was brain dead.
It was, 6 or 7 days from the day he got sick to the day he was pronounced dead, a week.
Cooper was 2 years old.
And then we came home and called my midwife, and she met us at the hospital in Belleville. And I had Caitlin that night. And then no choice but to start making arrangements for the funeral and figure out what the hell happened.
We're all told that consuming more produce, more fruits and vegetables are healthy. And certainly we all want to encourage that. We want our public health policies to encourage that. But on the flip side of that, it's also one of the riskier foods that you can consume from a food safety perspective.
E. coli is a bacteria that's in fecal matter of humans and animals. And most E. coli strains are not dangerous, but there are some that can make people really sick or even lead to death in extreme cases.
When you look at a label and it says triple washed, consumer is thinking, oh, this must be really clean if they washed it 3 times. But the thing is, pathogens like E. coli and Salmonella, they can't be washed off products no matter how hard you try, because they've already been absorbed into the leaf.
About 3 weeks after, 4 weeks after that he died, that we found out about the lettuce outbreak. It was international news. It was a huge outbreak.
Public health officials are investigating an E. coli outbreak.
The ongoing E. coli outbreak that is
linked to romaine lettuce has left dozens seriously ill in 16 states.
Now 3 provinces, 3 in Ontario, 15 in Quebec.
An urgent warning to consumers. If you don't know where your romaine lettuce is from, don't eat it.
And we thought, okay, the grocery store has the records of where they import their products from, what farms. So head office calls Brad and says, I'm sorry, we have non-disclosure agreements with our farmers and we aren't able to disclose who we get our lettuce from. Why are there non-disclosure agreements with farmers? What are you hiding?
A CAFO is a large industrial type animal facility. So you're seeing hundreds or thousands of animals in a small area. When you put thousands of animals together in a small space, you're getting a lot of manure. And we know that there are bacteria like E. coli and other pathogens in this manure. Manure from a CAFO can get into an irrigation canal, and then the water can be applied directly to farm fields. And those lettuce fields then are contaminated with whatever is in the manure, so E. coli, other bacteria, etc.
Well, you go to the store, you buy your salad, you rinse it the best you can, not understanding maybe how it's grown and what conditions. You can see the little dirt on the celery, right? When you're washing things, you can't see E. coli.
So one of the ways that we're looking into solving the food safety issue is to analyze where CAFOs are located and the proximity of farm fields that grow food, fruits and vegetables that you don't cook. So we wanted to see if the CAFOs were near leafy greens fields to see if they were a potential source for E. coli contamination. In our California analysis, there are instances where there are literally irrigation canals 10 feet from a feedlot.
We also looked at aerial imagery, and we are focusing on like Salinas Valley. As you zoom into that area, you can see the patterns emerging as you get closer and closer, how close in proximity they are to these canals and to these fields that grow our crops and leafy greens, fruits and vegetables.
And so we know without doubt that there is manure that's ending up in these irrigation canals and that the irrigation water is very likely being sprayed on farm fields nearby.
I think it's 90% of lettuce and leafy greens are grown in California and Arizona for the US and Canada. I watched a video of one farmer who was linked to the outbreak, and he said something along the lines of, it's not the first time we've been investigated. This is probably just the way that business is done in America and maybe around the world.
So this contamination of food issue is a really urgent problem. A big reason why E. coli outbreaks in food have been going up and not down has to do with the regulatory structure. There's no one who's stopping this from happening.
What keeps me up at night when it comes to the regulation of leafy greens are the gaps that still exist. So some of the key features of the Ag Water Rule that the agency came out with this year was meant to make sure that the water being used during crop production for leafy greens wasn't contaminated. One of the key components of this rule is allowing growers to essentially do a self-assessment. Imagine you're a grower and you're growing romaine lettuce in a field that's very near a CAFO. You would list that as one of the top threats to food safety as part of your assessment. The only problem is that there isn't any type of mandated microbial testing to prove that that risk is being addressed.
The rules are voluntary, so farmers of leafy green fields don't actually have to do the testing to see if the irrigation water they're using is contaminated.
The motivation is money. It's the only reason they do it wrong. And whoever makes the most money thrives. So instead, we'll just do it the way that we feel it should be done. Cooper's older brother, Ashton, used to call Cooper Acres. That was one of his nicknames. So we decided to call the farm 4 Acres.
After we lost Cooper, you're consumed with grief, but you also are consumed with anger. It's a way for us to channel our anger into something positive, a way to put our energy, right, into something, to do something still for Cooper. I can guarantee that you're not going to get sick and have life-altering conditions because we can control the heat and how much sun they get and how much water. Now I grow lettuce and I mother the lettuce, right? It's all for him.
I think seeing that illnesses from E. coli are going up instead of down makes me feel worried. And when we live in America, the wealthiest country in the world, we shouldn't have to worry about the safety of our food. We should be able to eat lettuce and let our kids eat lettuce and know that they will be okay. They won't have to worry about getting sick or even dying.
So what consumers could do in the immediate term is go to the FDA and tell them to stop dragging their feet on when it comes to produce safety. Tell the FDA to stop cowering to industry. No one should have a close family member who died just because they had a hamburger, just because they had a piece of chicken, just because they had a salad.
We lost our son to foodborne illness. We hope that another family is never touched by that experience again. So we try and do our little part to keep his memory alive, to send a message that we need to do better with how we're producing food.
A future that would honor Cooper's memory is a future where nobody gets sick anymore from the food they eat. Nobody.